My name is Alina, 26 years old, the only daughter in a family that's always made me feel like a placeholder, someone they fed, clothed, and educated just because it was expected. My younger brother, Adam, was the favorite. Always. If he wanted something, he got it. If I needed help, I got silence. So when I stumbled across the secret that shattered the last threads of illusion, I couldn't decide if I was hurt or just finally awake. It began on a random Tuesday night. I was at my parents' house, helping clean out the attic, something they roped me into often while Adam stayed conveniently busy. I found an old suitcase behind dusty boxes labeled Zmaz Decor and kitchenware. Curious, I opened it. Inside were flight stubs, hotel receipts, and printed photographs. The first photo froze me in place. It was a family picture, my family, but taken at a beach resort I'd never seen. Mom in sunglasses, Dad holding a fruity drink, Adam in a Hawaiian shirt with a smug smile. The caption at the back read, Cancun, July 2022. July 2022. That was when I was recovering from emergency surgery. I'd been in the hospital for a week after my appendix ruptured. Mom said they were too stressed to visit every day and were staying home because travel would make them too anxious. But here they were at a beach, smiling. Not once had they mentioned this trip. Not once had they offered to bring me a souvenir. They lied to my face for over a year. I kept digging. There were more trips. Italy in 2021. Greece in 2020. Japan in 2019. Photos of Adam parasailing. Mom eating sushi. Dad feeding koi fish. Dozens of memories, none of which I was part of. The final receipt I found was recent, a booking confirmation for a 5-star resort in Bali. For 3 people. Check in, next month. It was under Adam's name, but my parents were clearly the other guests. I was shaking. Years of feeling invisible now had physical proof. I didn't cry that night. I didn't rage or scream. I just closed the suitcase, put everything back, and walked out with a polite, I'm heading home now. They didn't notice my tone, but I couldn't let it go. The next day, I brought it up casually over dinner. So, have you guys ever been to Cancun? My mom paused. Why do you ask? I saw a photo. Looked fun. She stiffened. My dad cleared his throat. That was a long time ago. So, you remember it? I smiled thinly. I was just wondering when that was. Neither of them said anything. I leaned in. Was it while I was recovering from surgery? Silence. Adam suddenly found his fork interesting. And then my mother gave me the first real expression I'd seen in a long time. Guilt. We didn't think it was a big deal, she said. You were being taken care of. I nodded, feeling like something had died. Right. Because I'm not part of this family. Just the caretaker of it. Then I dropped the bomb. I found the Bali booking too. Nice hotel. That was the moment the panic truly set in. And I knew then, I was done. The next morning, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at my untouched coffee. I'd barely slept. My mind replayed every little lie they'd told me over the years, how they were struggling financially, how family trips are too expensive, how we have to support Adam right now, sweetie, you understand. No, I didn't understand. Not anymore. I picked up my phone and called Mom. She answered on the second ring. Alina, I need you to come over, I said. Now. There was a long pause. Are you okay? Bring Dad too. We need to talk. About everything. 20 minutes later, they showed up. Dad had his arms crossed. Mom had her fake concerned face on. I didn't offer tea. I didn't ask them to sit. I went straight to the point. How long have you been taking trips without me? My mother's smile wavered. Alina, this again? I'm not asking to argue, I said. I'm asking because I deserve the truth. So, one question. Just one. She blinked. Did you ever plan to include me in even one of those trips? The silence stretched so long it felt like it had weight. She opened her mouth, closed it, looked at Dad. He spoke instead. You were always so independent. You never seemed interested in family vacations. My voice dropped. I was never invited. That landed hard. I was in the hospital, I continued. You went to Cancun. I was working 2 jobs, you were in Italy. I skipped college spring break to stay home and help with grandma, and you were in Japan. And you never thought I'd notice? Mom finally whispered, "We didn't want you to feel bad." Too late. I stood up and walked to my desk. I pulled out the folder where I'd placed copies of every photo, receipt, and booking confirmation I found. I slammed it on the table. I scanned everything, just in case you want to lie again. Dad looked away. Mom's hands trembled as she opened the folder. I stood still, arms folded. "I gave up scholarships to help take care of this family," I said. "You said we couldn't afford extras. But somehow you could afford this for just the three of you." Her face crumpled. "But why?" I asked. "What did I do wrong?" She finally spoke the truth. "Because Adam needs more. You're stronger. You always figured things out. You never asked for anything. And Adam, he just needed us more." I stared. "So I got punished for not needing help?" "It wasn't punishment," she protested. "But it was," I said coldly. "Every time you bought him a gift, every trip you planned without me, every birthday you barely acknowledged because his was the next day and we'll just celebrate both. You trained me to settle for scraps." My father muttered, "This is turning dramatic." I turned to him. "You taught me to make myself small so Adam could shine. Now you don't know what to do when I speak up." They had no answers. I let the silence sit until it got uncomfortable. Then I said the words I'd never said before. "I'm walking away." Mom's head snapped up. "Alina, I'm done pretending I belong in this family. I'm not your backup plan, your nurse, your emotional punching bag. I'm not going to be around to watch the house while you're on vacation." Dad looked annoyed. "So what, you're cutting us off now?" "I'm setting boundaries," I said. "Starting with this. Don't call me unless it's an emergency. Don't ask for favors. And don't expect me to pretend we're close anymore. Because we're not." Mom tried one last time. "But we love you, sweetheart." "No," I cut her off. "You love the idea of me. The quiet daughter who never causes problems. The extra adult in the house who pays rent and helps out and keeps her head down. You love what I give, not who I am." They left after that. Not with hugs, not with tears. Just two people suddenly realizing their daughter saw them clearly for the first time. And she wasn't going to forget it. It had been 3 weeks since that confrontation. 3 long, silent weeks. I thought I would cry more. I thought I'd feel regret or guilt or at least a whisper of loneliness. But I didn't. For the first time in my life, I felt something completely different. Freedom. No more passive-aggressive messages from Mom asking why I hadn't dropped by. No more chores quietly assigned to me because you're already home, sweetie. No more pretending I didn't notice how Adam always came first, how my name was the one always forgotten in birthday posts, how I was always the one who needed to be understanding. I had moved out. Not far, just across town, into a 1-bedroom apartment with a tiny balcony and sunlit mornings. My key clicked in the lock of a place that felt like mine. My couch was secondhand, my dishes mismatched, but the peace was priceless. One evening, I got a text from Adam. "Did you really leave because of the trip thing? That's kinda extreme, Alina." Just saying. I didn't reply, because no, it wasn't just about the trip. It was about everything. Years of being the third wheel in my own family. Years of playing peacemaker, caregiver, invisible daughter. I had found their secret trip, but in the end, it wasn't their secret that changed me. It was realizing I didn't need to chase love anymore. The next morning, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but I recognized my mother's handwriting. It said, "Dear Alina, I don't know what to say. You were always the good one. Maybe we relied on you too much. Maybe we didn't notice how much we took for granted. Please come home for dinner. No tricks. No expectations. Just talk. Love, Mom." I read it 3 times. Then I folded it, placed it back in the envelope, and tucked it into my drawer. I didn't throw it away. But I didn't reply either. Not because I hated them, but because I had finally learned that not every door deserves to stay open, especially the ones you've been forced to knock on your whole life. That weekend, I sat on my balcony, the late afternoon breeze brushing past my face. I took a deep breath and looked at the sky. I was alone, yes, but it was the kind of solitude that felt earned, not forced. I wasn't running from them anymore. I had walked away, and this time I wasn't looking back.